Jeremy Ryan reporting for Defending Wisconsin Political Action Committee, www.defendingwisconsin.org. In this movie, you're going to see, or in this video, you're going to see a brief clip of our rally outside the Government Accountability Board office, and this clip is going to show, us just demanding a hand recount outside the Government Accountability Board office. And then later on, we had the distinct pleasure of seeing Kevin Kennedy, the director of the Government Accountability Board, and he was kind enough to take some time out of his day. He was in between two meetings, and he was kind enough to take some time out of his day to answer the questions we had, especially with my question about how we can trust the Government Accountability Board. I do think he was very honest, and I don't. I still don't think that I can trust the Government Accountability Board, but at least he was honest. At least he didn't try making up some lies and try pretending like like it was something it wasn't. With his answers, some people will trust them, some people won't. But at least he gave an honest answer, and we do thank him for sitting down and talking, or not sitting down, but standing in between a meeting and talking with us. So enjoy Katie Reeder and myself questioning Kevin Kennedy, Director of the Government Accountability Board, and the brief clip of the rally outside. Jeremy Ryan from Defending Wisconsin Political Action Committee, www.defendingwisconsin.org. Have a wonderful night, folks.
When do we want it? Now!
Jeremy Ryan reporting from the Defending Wisconsin Political Action Committee, www.defendingwisconsin.org. We are in front of the Government Accountability Board building right now, and we're rallying for a hand recount. Our state. Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on over here. The Government Accountability Board, we're asking them to do a full hand recount.
How's he going, live?
Hand recount. Machines are nice, they're handy, right? But they do not determine who wins an election.
Yeah.
The optical scanning machines often have a 1 to 2% undervote or error rate. The difference in the Supreme Court election was less than 0.5% with 1.5 million ballots cast. So even if there was no active malfeasance, the vote could still shift with a hand count of all the ballots.
Yeah. Jeremy Ryan reporting from Defending Wisconsin Political Action Committee, www.defendingwisconsin.org. We have Kevin Kennedy up here, and he's walking around.
That their votes were counted, and even if there's just a perception that people's votes are not being counted, then people lose faith in the election process. And there will be so many people who feel disenfranchised, really, whether they were or not. And so, to me, it seems, well, I think it's obvious the only way that this can be really resolved and for people to have faith in the election system that we have is to hand count absolutely every single ballot.
The only people who can ask for a recount are the candidates. And this law only allows a hand count if the candidates establish that that would be active. And so we have to wait first to see if either of the candidates is going to ask for a recount.
Yes.
And if they do, they have to be in court tomorrow to ask for the ability to hand count the ballots.
Okay.
Otherwise, the statute says that the ballots do get looked at before they go through the machine. So from a practical standpoint, two candidates, observers, get to see the ballot and they can object to whether the machine is going to read it. And we do have some ballots that don't get read by the machine because people
mismarked or circled or did whatever.
I heard the entire Zaki County used pencils.
Pardon?
The ballot has a target area that gets read, and people will check next to it or they'll circle the right things next to it, so the machine won't pick that up.
But the law says voter intent.
Right, and so that's what the two sides will look at, and then the Board of Canvassers will make a decision on those. But then if you're talking a small amount that don't get read.
What is the time frame then? Say that a machine recount goes through, and if people are watching those ballots and basically tallying as they go, and if the tally of the machine then does not match with what observers felt that it should be based on what they saw of the ballots going in.
That's one of the things that, I'm sorry, finish your question.
Then can they, then what's the next step then?
Well, you know,
If they have not already asked for
the
hand
true
count
observers
tomorrow?
will be, you know, checking each one before it goes in. So they'll probably be doing their own hand count for all practical purposes.
Right.
And if the machine total doesn't reflect it, they will make an objection. We put in the minutes, and then when you go to court, you can argue
Okay.
that, hey, this machine didn't work because our notes show this. Probably the other side is no, our notes. So, you know, you'll have that
Right.
dispute
Of course, yeah.
on that.
At least we don't have hanging chads.
But it'll be in the court to make that decision if we get to that point. Although they may say it was off by one, we're not going to worry, you know. But they'll handle it on that. But that's the process.
May I ask one other question about the process itself? How do the ballots actually get ordered? What's the chain of custody from the printer? You know, who puts in the order for the actual ballots to be printed, and how are those accounted for then from the moment the printer prints up the blank ballots?
The county clerk orders the ballots based on projections that the municipal clerks give.
Yes.
You know, saying we expect to have this many of this, how many registered voters we have. And they'll order the ballots for each election, assuming that there's a county.
From any local printer? I mean,
Well,
or are there...
there's only a handful of printers that can do the work because they have to print them to have the timing marks on them. So there's, I don't know how many printers there are, but some of them are local, some of them they'll go directly to the vendor and have it done. They're shipped to the county and they're shipped in sealed, shrink wrapped with, and the numbers are rough in the sense that, you know, I'll say this is 500, well it might be 495 or 501 because they do it by weight when they package it.
Yeah.
But so you have a rough idea of how many ballots there are. And then the county will distribute those and will have a record. You know, they'll deliver those ballots to each of the municipalities in time for absentee voting.
But they aren't rebundling. I mean, they're handing out the shrink-wrapped packet saying, here's 500, here's another 500.
Right.
So it still could be off by a few.
In terms of the total number of ballots.
Right.
And we don't do...
Or 20,000 as in 2006.
Not that one, but yeah. But so when the county clerk will get the ballots, you know, court receiving, how many did we get? They'll have an invoice for that. And then they will secure those ballots before they deliver them. You know, usually it's put into like a county safe or something like that. And then they'll either have the clerks come in to pick them up or they'll hand deliver the ballots to the Dane County clerk always would go around to everybody and say, you know, here's your supplies for the election. That was part of his way of getting out there.
And does the clerk, I mean, because the different municipalities may have probably have different ballots, then she wouldn't be ordering a lot more. I know, for instance, Town of Middleton had requested a certain number of ballots, and the county clerk thought we need more, so actually had more printed up and delivered more. But there wouldn't normally be sort of a buffer that the county clerk is holding or anything, whatever.
Oftentimes they may hold some back, but usually it's the municipal clerk that holds them back so that they can run them out to the polling places. They don't want to have, you know, a lot of extra ballots out there.
Right.
But usually it's the municipal clerk that will hold them back to bring them out. And also sometimes you can use the same ballot in different equipment because it's the same race.
Yeah.
And so they'll set it up so that you can read. You know, Milwaukee, for example, has 320 different recorded units in the ballot styles, and probably only 100. So they'll know that in Ward 48 and Ward 103, they can use the same ballot. And they'll have it printed up as Ward 48 and Ward 103, but if they run out in 48, they'll get some 103 ballots, and then they'll make a note on the inspector's statement. We were running out of ballots. We took some from 103 because they had plenty. The machine will read them, but you know, in a recount you can see, and you should be able to match up. We picked up an extra 500.
And then how does the county clerk then account for those extra ballots that she may possibly have held back if she kept a buffer? Then how are those accounted for?
They keep a log of those and keep them the same way secured. But I don't think county clerks keep a whole lot, if they keep any, because it doesn't do much good.
Right.
If you're sitting in the county seat and you got to get to the northwest corner of the county, you know, so they're more likely to track, you know, how many ballots for each municipality and how did they deliver them.
Okay.
I have a question. In Ozaukee County, I've gotten several reports that they use pencils instead of the markers. Would that have changed?
The machines are designed to read either one. The markers are preferred or better, but you know, we had a lot of questions. Why are we using pencils?
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, once the ballots are marked and put in the machine, when they come out of the machine, they go into a ballot bag. So it's not like someone can go in and erase what's on the pencil unless you break the seal, and you've got record saying this is the seal that was put on, and if it's broken, you see it.
All right, and my other
It's the actual seal. Sorry, Jeremy.
Oh, go ahead.
Who produces those actual seals, and how do those get ordered and distributed?
Usually, either the municipality or the county will order them, but there's a lot of vendors that sell numbered seals.
So they're numbered seals. Oh, that's
You
right.
get
There were
duplicate
numbered tape.
numbers.
Yeah.
You could pop them off and put another one on.
Okay.
And I mean, how can you trust a organization that's appointed by partisan governors and confirmed by a partisan Senate to be bipartisan or nonpartisan? Just out of curiosity.
Same way you trust people that are elected to partisan offices.
Well, we don't. That's
Well,
the problem.
you know,
Yeah.
They're ex-judges.
Okay.
You can't.
Well, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm not.
I mean,
I'm not saying you're
I can't
you're not
step-
credible. I'm
I
just
can't
saying it's too
step
many
in
questions.
and
You know.
give you any assurances of trust other than to look at the processes that are followed on that. You know, you're right. I mean, Wisconsin's the only state in the country that has a nonpartisan election staff at the state level, and now a nonpartisan board. I mean, prior to 2008,
The Secretary of State.
it was a bipartisan elections board.
Oh.
So it was so the board that I reported to then was half Republicans, half Democrats, and actually for 4 years we had Libertarian too.
A lot of typos.
You know,
Probably on that.
on that. So, you know, you go down to Illinois, it's a bipartisan board. You go over to Indiana, it's an elected Secretary of State. You go to Minnesota, it's an elected Secretary of State.
Yeah,
Parties are different in Minnesota and Indiana, but you know, the best accountability is to have transparency. What are the processes, how they follow? So when you ask these kind of questions, I can give you the answers.
Right.
You know, and you know, on any individual county, we're hoping they're doing what I just told you to do.
Right. And if somebody's given recommendations and don't change their process to meet with those recommendations, then that can make it
Right.
that whether it really destroys the process or not, it certainly destroys any trust that people would have in the process.
Right.
So the GAB went over to Waukesha County and looked at the situation there. And so the actual ballots, are they still there in?
That's one of the things that our staff did is they went in and they looked at, you know, the inspector statements that record what seals were put on them, checked them against the ballots to make sure they were still sealed, and then looked at the actual tapes that came out of the machines and the handwritten tally sheets for when you write in votes, because Waukesha County didn't have any hand-counted paper ballots other than if there was a write-in vote. So they looked at all those, compared those to the numbers that the County Board of Canvassers certified to us, which is also what the County Board of Canvassers did as well. And so we found no discrepancies there. We found, you know, questions where we found 3 instances. One, we said, gee, they rejected 2 write-in votes, but we don't know why they rejected them. They weren't in the total. We see 2 write-in votes, but they're not here because if you add the tapes, they're there. They're not. And we're told the Board of Canvassers rejected them, but there's no record we rejected them or why they rejected them. And same thing, we found 1 vote where there was an additional vote above the tape, and they said, well, we had a provisional ballot. We can see, yes, you had a provisional ballot, but we don't see what the votes were from that provisional ballot. We just see that you added 1.
Yeah.
And you didn't say it's from this provisional ballot. So that's the kind of problems we found, you know, which are, okay, how do we change this? And if there's a recount, we'd verify that.
It's after 1:30.
Okay.
All right. And just one quick question. Do you have any updates on Racine County, where 2 days before they had listed Prosser as the winner for 2011 to 2021?
Was not aware of any of the issues.
Oh, all right. I had sent it to Reed Magny. You might want to talk to him because
Yeah.
we had uncovered that.
We have like thousands
Yeah.
of emails and
Okay. On the 3rd, they had reported that Prosser was the winner. That was 2 days before the election in Racine County, in their voter public access.
Okay, all right, and that
forms.
actually that's a different issue.
APA forms,
And that
all right.
has to do with how we set up the public access. In order to do it, we have to set the future term. We didn't undo it before in a timely manner. So it wasn't just Racine; it was
everywhere.
anybody who went into it. So a number of people have identified that problem. We've tracked down. It's not the kind of thing I can tell you. 2 sentences or less, but you know, one of our staff didn't reset it like they should have, because it's just the way our voter
you've
public
got it.
access is set up. We have to show the term, and because the incumbent's in there, once we take the term off, then it doesn't show anymore, but we forgot to take it off.
All right. Well, thank you, Kevin Kennedy.
Okay.
Thank you. for your
Thank
time.
you so much. I really appreciate
Okay.
your time.
Okay.
Sorry to make you late for your